Only 100,000 people. Those 100,000 people may be different in many ways, but there's one thing that brings them all together. The Green Bay Packers. In Titletown, the blue-collar city only knows hard work, tailgating, championships, but more importantly, they know family.
We have a saying in this town: faith, family, and the Green Bay Packers are all that you need. Sanjay and I grew up in Green Bay. You could say that we are Green Bay, or even better, the voices of Green Bay. We bring a local feel of Packer fandom to a worldwide audience.
Friendship, family, and football.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is the Freezer Podcast. Shame on Goot. This is the Green Bay Packers, where we're brought to you by an angry quarterback, an awful head coach, and an inconsistent defense. I'm Sanjay, and alongside me, like always, is Fred and Matt, and we are live in our home studios, brought to you by Game On Wisconsin. And thanks for joining us for one more show, the season finale of the Green Bay Packers just laying a stinker. So we have the Lions games Sunday night, where Matt and I were attending, and it was supposed to be this big freaking game that we were like, all right, let's get into the playoffs. And let me tell you, 60 minutes of absolute trash was presented to you on the floor, or on the field, sorry. So I am at a loss of words. I'm probably going to throw this show to Matt and Fred for the most part, because I really don't know what to say anymore, because I'm kind of just like, all right, let's just move on to 2023. If that's Jordan Love, maybe great. If that's, Joe Barry, that's great. I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know what to say anymore. As a Packer fan, as a person that thinks that this team is, supposed to be this, but they're not, and they have all this potential on paper, but they don't produce it on the field. And then we have all this, I guess, cap debt that we're going to be in. So that's going to be fun. Credit cards that we can't pay off. We all know about that. So here we are, boys. We're here on a Tuesday, losing Tuesday, where we are now one and done, and we are done. We didn't even make the one and done scenario, because that's called the playoffs. So how are we doing? How are you doing, Fred? I know how Matt's doing, but how are you doing?
I'm not surprised, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I think we all got
It's
fooled
true.
with some magical mystery tour that was obviously never going to get anywhere past what we would have gotten past in Detroit. I think, this whole season's been kind of a cluster F, and we've been taking on this journey of crap and been shown these absolute, when I say glimmer, like the smallest glimmer you could possibly think of in your life, we were shown those, and us being loyalist fans took that and wrote it to the heavens, because we thought, oh, here we go. And each time and over again, we were let down. I'm not surprised. I think this year was an absolute bust and a disgusting year for the most part. There's some good, right? Like I'll be my optimistic self, and I can find some good things that happen. Good players that started to kind of progress. I saw some good things. But ultimately it came down to, a quarterback who's on the decline, I think. It came down to for the first time, an absolute glaring, obvious display of undisciplined and amateur coaching throughout the season, with penalties, with really disgusting penalties like we saw with Quay Walker, with the inability to coach his players in big games, inability to make good decisions. It felt like all season it was, LaFleur making up excuses or giving political answers as to why to not let Aaron Jones have the ball more. We saw it with, just him on the sidelines, and I think watching the Lions game, there was a point where it was fourth down, and I believe they were thinking about punting or going for it. And you saw it like on the TV screen. You guys probably didn't see this, but you got to see LaFleur go, Well, do you want to punt it? Like, what? Do you want to punt it? Like, are you the head
That's
coach
even worse.
or
I didn't
like
know
what?
about
Like,
that.
I can't believe like, and that's when I saw that I was like, wow, everything that I kind of thought where he was like, I want to be more of a friend than a coach, kind of just came into fruition, and it really bugged me. And then to see everything that happened throughout the game, throughout the season, it's just concerning, and I feel like I'm glad we lost in the regards to we never deserved it. And it would have been just an absolute shit show if we would have gotten in it because we all would have, been like, oh, yeah, here we are. And it's just not fair. And we would have gotten lamb blasted by San Francisco, which would have probably made me more mad, where I feel like I have a little bit more peace on my heart with this ending as opposed to, having this false feeling that we're going to do something against San Francisco and then just get destroyed. Bottom line, love my Packers, never going to stop loving them. But this season was the season that I think we all have been expecting. And it's the perfect season and the perfect segue into, I would hope, what the future could be. Let's just see if Green Bay's got the balls to do it.
I echo all those sentiments, man. I mean, when we're going to look back on this year, it's just going to be one of the bigger disappointments that I remember watching. And I know we all love this team, Will, I agree. I love the Packers. I'm always going to love the Packers. I'm going to die a Packer fan. Like there's never going to be anything that'll shake that. So when we discuss the team, it's nothing but love, but it's a lot of frustration because from the jump, guys, this season just didn't feel right. I mean, from training camp right on down to the first few games, I remember sitting here when we were 2-1 or 3-1, kind of all looking at each other going, well, yeah, I mean, we're sort of off to a nice start. Yeah, we dropped one to the Vikings, but we won 3 in a row. Like, looks like we might win another 10, 11, 12 games again, but doesn't feel right. And after that, it really fell off a cliff, and we all kind of know what happened. And then the last couple of weeks, I think we allowed the hopium to kind of, creep in a little bit, and you kind of start to think about what if, they pull off the game against the Dolphins and they blow out the Vikings, and all of a sudden you're thinking, well, hold on a second, maybe they woke up, and then lo and behold, you get a clincher, basically playoff game at home, and the Packers didn't show up, specifically the offense. And that's a trait now. It's not a one-off thing. It's 4 consecutive years of laying an egg in the playoffs and 3 consecutive years of your season ending on your own turf, which let's remind everybody again, there is no Lambeau mystique. Wonderful stadium, one of the best venues in all of sports, but not one single team gives a shit about having to come here and play Green Bay at any point in the year. Yeah. Because they watch the Packers, who are the cold weather team, continuously drop games in the playoffs, in the cold, the teams from California, Florida, or they play in a dome. I mean, they should be the ones that are dictating in the cold, and they're not. And I said it a bunch on Twitter. I said Aaron Rodgers in the cold reminds me of Brett Favre in the cold at the end of his career here. He's just not getting it done. I love the man. He's going to go down as maybe the greatest Packer ever, one of the greatest football players, quarterbacks of all time. But when you can't do the job in Green Bay in the cold at the end of the year, the job is no longer yours. And I think that the Packers have to look at that, and they have to have an honest conversation with themselves. Do you really want to run it back again? Yeah, you might have some exciting wins here or there, but I just think trying to replicate this and think that you're going to have some type of different outcome next year is foolish. So, and LaFleur needs to look at himself in the mirror, because that's his teams that go out and don't execute. That's his game plan. Anybody watching that first quarter, I mean, sitting there with Sanjay going, how many end arounds do they need to get stuffed with Allen Lazard before they stop? And they finally did it on a 4th down and turned the ball over. And so I'm just going, why are we overthinking everything? Why are we doing all this crazy shit when it matters? I'm just very frustrated. I'm kind of glad they lost the game. We don't have to go in the playoffs and get boat raced by somebody, but there's got to be some changes here. And based off the first press conference post loss, there may be none.
So let me jump in and say, we're all, obviously it's a fresh wound, right? So like none of us, I'll speak for all 3 of us, and I think I can confidently say this. None of us by any means are bashing Aaron Rodgers, because I think he's, we absolutely love him, legend. Love him. But you got to know when your time's done, right? Like, I'm at an age, and I'll use this as an example. Like, there's 2 things. So I'll compare it to my 16-year-old son, right? Sometimes you just got to know when it's done. Like I've raced him, right? I'd be at family gatherings or whatever. We'd race, we'd run like a 20-yard dash, or whatever, and I'd whoop his ass every time. I know I can't probably beat him anymore, right?
Yeah.
So what do? I don't go challenge him to a run, right? I skirt past every, opportunity to not challenge him to a run because I know Father Time is on my side. I know that I probably can't beat him. Now I'll go race Charlie all day because he's 6 and it's fun. But you gotta know, right? Like when it's time to be done. And you gotta know that you have to have that feeling. And I
Yeah,
think Aaron
but
Rodgers is
he
the smartest
plays the
guy.
quarterback position. Like
Yeah,
these
but
guys are the biggest egotistical people in the world.
absolutely.
They think that
But
they
he's
are on top of the
also
world.
he's also extremely smart. I think he's also we got to really see an interesting display from Tom Brady this year. And I think that really changes it because we saw this massive decline with Brady. And I think Brady has always kind of kept this allure of you can keep going, you can keep going, you can keep going. And even he did the allure of you can change teams and win. And the allure of what the Patriots did. Everybody's mindset up about winning a Super Bowl. Winning a Super Bowl is the hardest thing in the entire world. And the Patriots made it seem easy, which has kind of given us a weird aspect of thinking like it should be easy. We should be able to get there. But we see every year, it's a different team almost every year outside of that for a reason. That being said, I want him to go it the right way. And I think this is the easiest, simplest transition for him to kind of step away and not make it something that.
But where was the
drama-free thing.
decline though? The guy just won an MVP. Okay, so
That's the
where
great
are we?
question.
Where are we saying that this decline that he should have known that he should have been done? Like that to me is my question to you.
I'm not saying no. I don't think he should have known. I think he should know now. I don't think
okay. So you're saying after a
no. I don't think
of a
going
year.
into this season by any means did he expect the decline. I think that, and I would maybe challenge that he still doesn't actually fully believe he is a massive decline, but he's got to sit there and think to himself, man, did I even throw for more than 300 yards this year at all? That's pretty messed up.
Not once.
Man, did I even score 30 some points outside of okay, again, allure of the Vikings game, but let's be real, that wasn't because of Aaron Rodgers, that was because of our defense and special teams. So there was never a game, and I've said this multiple times on the show, there's never been a game this year that I don't think Aaron Rodgers single-handedly won us a game with his heroic attributes, which he has many of. That's why I think it's time. It's got to be time.
He didn't. There's not one game that I look back on and go, we won the game because he was pulling rabbits out of hats and he was making ridiculous
Never
throws.
once was
Did he do things like that throughout the year? Yes, but there wasn't one game where there was the Aaron Rodgers game.
But we weren't asking him to.
Never one game do we
No, but
on Tuesday.
He's being paid to. That's the problem. You
okay,
can't do anything.
But then that's not on him. That's on the guy that decided to give him $50 million and cave in. That's on Gutekunst.
No, of course.
Okay, he just took the contract. He said, if you want me, it's going to cost you this much.
Okay, so if your job pays you more money to do more work and you don't do it,
I'm not.
What the
again, if you're supposed to be this talent, the scout talent, right? This guy that's supposed to see this talent and see his roster and see when. I mean, how many posts have we seen? The whole sin that Ron Wolf never did. Jumping out of jumping off a guy that's a little too early or a little too late, right? If that made you this organization of seeing the talent and knowing when to get out of it, then you should have never have signed him. He fell for the trap.
Well, here's the devil's advocate for that because I agree. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But when you're dealing with 4-time MVPs, Super Bowl winners, it's a different ball game. It's not it's our first string. It's not Eric Stokes, right? He's had a couple of declines and an injury.
But
maybe
that would have made it the biggest
Aaron Rodgers
of all time.
Absolutely.
You already did one, right? You already did one by Brett Favre, right? You said, we're going to go with Rodgers. We don't care if you're unretiring. We decide. And you got an entire fan base pissed off at you for an entire year, didn't you not? How many people rolled up with Favre jerseys and came in and said, no, this is still our guy? This would have been your moment.
But did Brett Favre go 13-3 3 seasons and win 2 MVPs?
No,
during that time?
No, he didn't.
That's the difference. That's where I think.
Wasn't it the NFC Championship? Isn't it Giants game? That was his last game. So he brought you an NFC Championship game. I mean, that was pretty damn near close. I mean, that.
Yep,
I mean, he was at a probably not peak Rodgers, but I'm saying like he was Favre, but he was at least he got to a point where, hey, maybe we were a player away. Maybe Favre just needed that one player to get us over the hump. But we decided to say
we were
nope.
one play away. I mean, literally.
Well, do
you're
you
right.
guys?
Yeah, one play.
I get it. I get it.
Would you guys agree that the Packers, the way that they dealt this year, though, was they essentially told Rodgers, well, without all these extra weapons, we believe that you can be the guy that's going to make sure that this offense works.
That's why I'm saying it's shame on Goot, because you thought that Alan Lazard, Sammy Watkins, and these two rookies that took 16 weeks to figure it out, that was going to be your offense. And then some way, shape, or form, you never gave any kind of, not advice, but where's the conversation between Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst or whoever it is that Aaron Jones doesn't get the ball more? Okay, I could maybe argue the last 3 games he's been banging up with injuries, but what about that first stretch, the first 7 games? Where was he then? So he was
underutilized the whole year.
I know you guys already said that you're not blaming Rodgers, but I'm not even putting blame on Rodgers.
How can you not?
Sorry.
Yeah,
not a lot. I'll put probably less than 20% blame on Rodgers.
Well, it's a personnel problem.
But he can do that.
Yes, you can.
He owns a.
You just said that he
chunk.
didn't win the games, right?
He owns a significant chunk of it. Yeah, because he didn't
game.
play well. He didn't play well enough.
He's a team leader in the quarterback.
He's a leader. He's paid the money to do it, bro.
I
gotta show up.
Has some blame, of course, with what he put on the field talent wise. And obviously, I don't even think it's this year. I think, to go to Matt's point from years and years, it's like 3 years problem because he never addressed.
But the whole point of you guys every year was saying
MVP quarterback.
Right, but you guys kept saying Aaron Rodgers can't keep doing it on his own. He needs a defense. He needs a special teams. He needs a full complement of a team. True. That's what lost us all these games. Yeah, Rodgers, we saw the decline, but is he really truly to blame? Yeah, he made some pretty awful throws.
But, he said in his press conference 2 nights ago and said, I'll walk away from $50 million. I don't care about the money. It doesn't bother me. So then why are you signing fat-ass contracts that are not allowing your team to compete and add people that you need? He can't.
Why are you signing him then? Why are you
talking
giving
out of both sides of his mouth? So you got to put blame on him.
But you chose to. It's like a kid,
it's
right?
Both.
You have your child, right? And are you going to buy into him saying he wants a toy every time you go to Target? You have to be an adult and say, look, we're going to go with Jordan Love. Thanks for the MVPs, but hey, I'm not saying that would have been the right decision, but that would have made you in control.
Well, right? I agree. It's both sides, and I
also think that it wasn't like he doesn't have any talent around him. It wasn't like Aaron Jones.
They're not using it. So whose fault is it? Is it Rodgers at the line?
I think
he's got the ball in his hands. He's got the ball in his hands.
I think you're 40% Aaron Rodgers. You're 40% probably Matt LaFleur. You're 20% Gutekunst. And I'll give it because Gutekunst can only do so much. He can only put out so much talent. Sometimes that talent hits. Sometimes that talent doesn't hit. And I agree. But there was a lot of cap restrictions, so he had to do what he could do. I would put that 20% more on what I said, not doing anything for the previous couple of years, receiver-wise. But I think what he was able to do restructuring and getting the offensive line, Aaron Jones, Dylan, everybody else on point, that defense is pretty much all he could do. We talk about a 4-time MVP, right? We see other quarterbacks out there. One of our biggest things we talked about earlier this year was we see quarterbacks, going out there winning with not as great receivers, some basic ass receivers. You're telling me that Aaron Rodgers, with his talent, with some of the talent that was on the team, that you couldn't put up 25 to 30 points a game? That's an Aaron Rodgers issue. That's not all the good. That is partly Gutekunst, but that is a guy that all of a sudden, where we were going, we had 10 plus years where it was 30 plus points a game. Now all of a sudden we can't even get 20. We can't even score 15, 16 against the Detroit Lions, who had a statistically bad defense. I mean, that's a huge part on what Aaron Rodgers is doing.
30% for everybody. 30% LaFleur, 30% Rodgers,
30%
Gutekunst, and 10% fans.
They all own a chunk of it. They all own a chunk of it.
But because I'm just saying, when Rodgers has a thumb injury, maybe you just say, sit down, fella. We're going to give Jordan Love the start. We're going to let you actually heal up. Yeah, we might lose 3 or 4 games. Hell, maybe we might win 3 or 4 games. You never know with him running your offense and doing your, doing your system the way you saw it. Because if it is an issue with Rodgers at the line, then okay, then I'll chalk it up to Rodgers' full blame, right? Or not full blame, but majority blame. but we're never going to know, right? We're not going to know how much he changed at the line unless he says it in his Hall of Fame speech or something, some interview like, hey, I did all this crap, blah, 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 blah. But
He did.
I do feel like LaFleur is not it. I think we've seen how this guy reacts to situational football and the biggest moments of the season. We've also seen how he handles his own players, and like I don't know if that's a Joe Barry issue with Quay Walker or if that's a locker room issue as a head coach that you're
That's
allowing
a lot
this
of people issue there.
Right. I'm just saying, like, you're the one who is supposed to be the captain of the ship, and yet you allow this stuff to happen in your ship.
Yeah.
So
I would say
a disciplined team doesn't do that kind of stuff.
I agree 100%. But I would say this, and maybe this is cutting a little too much slack, but I still want to see what he's like without Aaron
I do.
in
You're right.
the room, because
You're
I
right.
think Aaron convinces him. I think there's this undenying, like, Aaron rules all in Lambeau, and maybe that's fine. Maybe that's, I don't know. I mean, do I, in my heart of heart, agree with it? No, because I don't think that's legit. I don't think it's an NFL situation. But every once in a while, you have absolute generational talent that gets the opportunity to run that. Patrick Mahomes will be there in about 10, 15 years, where the Chiefs will absolutely bend over backwards to whatever he says. And I get that. But I don't, a lot of things that LaFleur has done this season, I've really questioned, and I've wondered if he's legit. But I want to see what he's like when he's got a guy like Jordan Love who he can command, and he can, run his offense through 100%, because Aaron Rodgers is checking at the line. He's doing different things,
Right.
Whether or not you want to believe it or not, it's true. And honestly, I think it comes, like, this is why I know it, or I feel like I know it. He's buddies with Lazard. Lazard got all these targets, all these end arounds on this last game against the Lions when Lazard wasn't getting shit. And Aaron, knowing that Lazard was probably playing for a potential contract, I'll guarantee you he was calling some plays to get his old buddy, old pal, a couple good looks. And I know that might sound stupid, but it doesn't push me past Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers has always been about friends, keeping it
Dobbs
together.
was open
blah,
on
blah.
that touchdown pass.
Absolutely. We saw we've heard about him complain
Sorry.
about the way that the Packers have treated his buddies in the past. It wouldn't shock me if he's done that. So LaFleur, a lot of questionable situations, but I still would love to get one year without Aaron breathing down his back about everything he does.
Yeah, I
agree.
You guys both make good points. I mean, it's hard to argue. We're 4 years into the LaFleur era now, so we can start judging accordingly, because we have plenty of a sample size at this point.
Yeah,
fantastic in the outside of this year. They've been really good in the regular season. They had some pretty big wins in the regular season, but they consistently are underperforming and not showing up and look underprepared when the spotlight is brightest, when it matters most in January. That's a thing. And that can't be a thing for him. He needs to overcome that. And to Fred's point, yeah, I do want to see what it looks like when he's got Jordan Love at the helm, because remember the climate when LaFleur was hired into, all he was asked about was his relationship with Rodgers. What are you going to do to make Aaron happy? What are you guys going to do? Are you going to marry your system and what he does well? And I think since then, he's probably felt a little beholden to make sure that Rodgers has a certain percentage of the game plan is from him, and gets all this extra freedoms and such. But people consistently bring up the point. Look at the Niners, Brock Purdy coming out of nowhere. Who knows who that guy was? And he's got that team rolling on their way to maybe a Super Bowl. If that guy can do it, I would love to think that Jordan Love can do it. And I think that just with Aaron Rodgers, he spent way too much time in McCarthy's system to fully ever commit to what LaFleur was doing. And I think that's been very obvious. And I made the point a few shows ago. I said the Packers have to spend this offseason regaining control of their franchise. And if that means jettisoning an Aaron Rodgers to get back in control, so be it. Because at this point, I don't think that, Aaron Rodgers can do some stuff that Jordan Love can't do. But generally at this point, 2006 or 16, 15 MVP Rodgers may never come back again. You may see chunks of it, but is that enough to pay a guy $50 million? I think you at this point have to make the call. And it just might be up. Time might be up. I don't know.
What's interesting too, and I was just thinking about this, is when you look at like that whole Kyle Shanahan tree, right? Like Kyle Shanahan, McVay, McDaniel, LaFleur, Robert Saleh. I mean, I know I'm getting a little deep here, but not one of them inherited a job with a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers.
No.
They had Zach Wilson, Tua.
I mean, what's he got Joe Burrow now?
Yeah, but no. I'm not saying talent wise. But like young youth guys that were impressionable
You can
that
mold
they could
them.
implement their system and mold to. Not a guy like
Rodgers is a finished product.
None of them took on a job with like Tom Brady, or none of them took on a job.
Well,
with
that was
like,
the whole question, right? Who's going to be able to tame Rodgers? Like when that whole,
right. And so like that's my
coaching
point.
decision
Like when
happened.
we talk about like these other like these coaches and stuff. I mean, I don't know. Like they're like on one hand, LaFleur's kind of was given this gift of like, I don't have to be this incredible coach because I can kind of let Aaron Rodgers win me a
Which we
couple
saw,
games here,
which we saw
which is
those
great,
first couple of years.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I don't know if it's a fair shot because like you have seen like Zach Taylor, he drafted Joe Burrow and they got to work together. Mike McDaniel got to work with a second year Tua, Sala working with Wilson. Obviously that's a little bit different, but you know what I mean? Shanahan's had a lot of like different young ones, Trey Lance, a little bit of Garoppolo, but like Garoppolo never had like the winner and the ego that like an Aaron Rodgers has. So it's just interesting. And I think it
But
always
now
comes
we can
back.
see it though, right? Because he did get to draft Jordan Love. So he has been at least working
Absolutely.
with him
So he
in
has that
practice and
person.
stuff,
So like,
but
I want to see that. I want to see what that is. Like, you see the success of these other guys with these younger quarterbacks. I want to see what him and Jordan Love can do. And
we
I
saw.
think
I think the
if the
Eagles game was nice.
absolutely, and I think if the Packers choose to bring it back, run it back, blah blah blah,
Ugh.
it will be an absolute travesty, and I will be irate because as much as I love Aaron Rodgers, as much as he goes down as the greatest quarterback I've ever witnessed, it is 100% time where you're going to kill LaFleur's career, you're going to kill what this team is, and you're going to kill the opportunity for a very young team to potentially go on a run. Like, if we drop Aaron Rodgers, it's not like, well, we're going to have a 5-year rebuild. No, this team is really good and young with a lot of the core talent signed for at least 3 to 4 years. Bring in Love, let the system get ran. Let's see what we can do. And you know what? If we go out this first year and it's an 8-8 season and Jordan Love shows flashes, I will give that 1 grace year period. But like after that, it's got to happen.
Well, let's shift about that because obviously you want to talk about 2023 season. And I know in the end, we can't really do a lot until we find out Aaron Rodgers' decision, which is, again, I feel like this is 3 years in a row where we're kind of like, what the heck's happening? But in the end, it's also that's kind of just how the cards are right now. So let's just look at the other side of the, spectrum here with the rest of the roster. Like there's other people, and we have to start looking at like Amos. We have to start looking at Bach. We have to start looking at, Aaron Jones even, and understand that Elton Jenkins just got signed, but you have Rashawn Gary that needs to. So
yeah, Rashawn's really the only main.
Yeah, he's the main guy, right? But
right.
Now you look at like, did Rasul Douglas play to his potential? Did Devondre Campbell play up to his potential? Did we see enough steps from Kenny Clark where he was playing to his guy? Because these guys all just got paid. Preston Smith. Did we see enough to these? I mean, I think they kept mentioning it. This is the most paid defense that we have in the league, I think. And obviously these guys all earned their contracts, but did they actually now pay, or sorry, did they play after they got paid, that big contract? Now we could probably run through it. I mean, I think Jair, I think we could probably agree that is probably worth the money. How do we feel about Kenny Clark?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm sorry. I don't know if there's anybody that was paid on the defensive side that I don't think deserves what they're being paid.
I'm not saying that they don't need to be on the team, but like restructured.
Right, that being said,
right.
I do think that there are guys on this defense that could be up for restructures. Like you said, I think a guy like Preston Smith, I think you could even maybe entertain the Kenny Clark thing. You go to Kenny Clark, you say, we keep the same base. We keep all that stuff. Let's knock a little bit off here so we can save $3.4 million, right? It's super simple. Most guys do it every year. It's not a big deal. Right. They still get all the money they were guaranteed.
I don't think they even have to ask, actually.
Yeah, it's not even a real,
yeah,
it's really not even a big deal. And then honestly, like free agent wise, I mean, there's not really a whole lot of people on the free agent list that are going to demand a lot of money, right? Like you're talking like Mercedes Lewis, Vatmin, you're talking like Bobby Touchdowns probably can't really demand a lot of money. A lot of that talent is not like
Amos
crazy
is probably
big.
the only one that I don't know what kind of contract. He's probably looking to get his last bag.
Is he a for sure free agent this year?
Mhm.
I feel like I didn't see that.
His
But
contract. Yeah, those guys were 4 years, so
yeah.
this is the 4th
And
year.
I
So
think the safety position is honestly, like, you would probably agree, is the biggest weakness on that defense.
right.
But I think the biggest priority is you get Rashawn Gary locked up, and then, maybe you look at bringing in someone, or if Amos is, like, wanting to stay, you restructure. I think a lot of those guys in that defense are gonna be willing to restructure. I think they like the defense. I think there's a lot of talent. I think there's a lot of, expectation and hope for them, that I feel like they can do that. Um, but again, I mean, you don't know how guys are. I mean, people are gonna wanna do what they wanna do.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, these guys all want to get paid too, right? Like
Right.
they believe
And
that
are they
they
are
deserve
they
what
are
they
they like
want.
us, where, like, Amos is like, "Fuck it, I've been like, I'm sick of doing this, man. I wanna go somewhere where I can get over that hump." And maybe they know, maybe they're like, "Yo, LaFleur is, the one coach in Waterboy who just can't get past his arch nemesis," and that maybe
Or
that's
if they bring Joe Barry back, maybe like, I don't want to come back.
Yeah,
right.
I
Yeah.
just thought about that. I wonder how many of these guys would probably go to
'Cause
his
there was a
office
lot
and be
of
like,
beef.
"You
There was
can't
a
bring him
ton of
back."
beef with Barry,
Right.
right? And then, like,
Yeah.
I heard, like, Jair calls a team meeting, like, that's gotta be some concern. So I gotta think that, like, I mean, obviously, LaFleur is gonna give that political answer, right? And saying, "Yeah, I think we're gonna," he's not gonna say, "Oh, fuck Barry, we're getting rid of his ass." Like, he's not gonna say that, of course. We have to be realistic about that. But I think if they don't entertain or consider options of, you know, Jimmy Leonard, Lovie Smith, whatever the heck it might be, I don't know. But if they don't consider it, um, and that I think that would just be an absolute miss by the Packers.
Do you think the defense changed because of Joe Barry, or do you think they changed because they had a lot of like? I mean, I know everybody's gonna say Tua was concussed. You have Justin Fields, who's not that great
I
right
think the
now.
defense
Like,
I think the defense the guys took over. I think the guys said to themselves, "Listen, we're gonna run Joe Barry's defense, but if we see things, we're gonna play the ball. We're gonna play games
Which
that we know." Which I don't
which
know if that's
bothers
100% true, but you
well,
gotta
I
think
think
that
that's
there's something to it.
it feels like it's part of it, or he was like, all right, guys, do what you're gonna want, do what you're gonna do. Just go ahead and
Yeah.
do it. But what made me mad though was against the Lions, and maybe it wouldn't matter, but that last drive where the Lions are closing the game out and they had a couple of, like 4th and 2 or 3rd and 1, whatever it was. And our guys are sitting off the ball and they just run a little 2-yard out and boom, quick
Yeah.
first down. I'm like, last week you were in Justin Jefferson's face, pushing him at the line of scrimmage, knocking him off. Why now are you now going back to what lost you 5 or 6 straight games in the middle of the year, which is playing soft and not dictating to the offense? So it's like in the last moment, they forgot what got them even into that moment, and they went back
because they
to
got
what
arrogant.
did.
They thought that the Vikings were better than the Lions, and that the Lions don't have Justin Jefferson. That's what they
Yeah.
thought. They're like, "Oh, it's only Amon Ra or DJ Chark or Jace, or
Well,
whatever his name is, Williams." But like, I don't think they respected him enough, honestly.
I don't think
And
so
now
either.
you
I
got
think
you got the
Well, they
Detroit
could.
Lions social media just clowning us.
it was,
now, so.
and they should, but you know what? It's like a lot of people, I'll be myself included, was like, how is anybody sitting here saying, "Oh, the Lions are just going to die for the Packers if the Seahawks win and they're already eliminated"?
Right.
Like, are you kidding me? Have
Yeah,
you watched the
God.
Lions play football in the last 4 or 5 years,
That
even before
that could
Dan
have
Campbell?
been the most
This
like,
scrappy ass team, and frankly,
yeah.
that's a playoff team. That's a playoff team. They're not in the
Mhm.
playoffs, but that's a playoff team.
Yep, 100% agree.
Yeah, I think when that Seattle Seahawks made that field goal, I think we were doomed because I didn't think. No, I don't think anybody thought Dan
I
Campbell's
actually would have
Lions were
I
gonna
would
like
have I would
lay
have
down.
I would have rather
That the
it be a
Lions were
game where
alive
the
in that
Lions
game.
played
Right,
yeah,
because
where they
then Dan
played
Campbell
because
questions
then they
his
might have been
decisions,
scared,
right?
concerned. They would have maybe been a little bit more hesitant. They would
100%.
have not wanted to screw it up. It's been so long. They would have
But
wanted,
it's
like,
like
that would have been perfect.
everything that the Packers struggled with that ultimately cost them their season came back in that game. They couldn't score in the
Shocking.
red zone. They couldn't force a turnover. The special teams was just a push, uncreative game plan.
Fumbles when you didn't need
It's-
them.
Exactly. And then, I love Aaron Jones, man. Like, but you're the point. It's like, how many times are you going to fumble in playoff games? I consider that a playoff game. How many times are you going to put the
Yeah,
ball on the
man,
ground?
this-
Because if he doesn't fumble that, they have like
We got
1st and 10
that's at
from
least
the
a
20-yard
yeah. I
line.
was gonna say we were at least a field goal no matter what.
Yeah, maybe it's
We're
12
before
to
the
3 at
half.
half. Maybe it's 16-3 at the half, but instead it's 6-9, and we know the rest.
And this team has historically in the last couple of years, we've seen when they fumble or when
when they get a turnover, they crumble.
shut her down.
Crumble.
Yeah,
They
it's
just
so annoying.
crumble. And so when I saw that happen, it was like game over.
Yeah, I'm
No
like, oh
question.
boy, here we go. They're running the Buccaneer playbook. They're running the 49er
Yeah, whether
playbook.
it's
They're
if
doing
it's
the thing.
Mercedes Lewis fumbling, Aaron Jones fumbling, whoever it is,
God.
boom.
Yep.
So, do you think we move on from Aaron Jones?
I don't think they can. Like, I don't think
Well,
like
they can.
they can. Like, I'm not saying like fiscally they can't. They can. I'm saying like you have a problem with talent. And
Right, I'm
and
saying
I
like
don't-
if you think that you can find it in the draft, that's what I'm trying to say. Like if you, I mean,
maybe
they
but
found
if-
him in the
Say-
5th
I'm gonna say
round.
they
Running
did.
back
But how many
4th
years have
round.
they been
Jordan-
searching for a Jordan?
If Aaron
Aaron
Rodgers
Jones?
is gone, then they 100% cannot get rid of Aaron Jones. If
Right,
Aaron
but-
Rodgers decides to return, then I think it's more
Why is it based on
not
Rodgers?
acceptable. Well, because I think Jordan
It's not
Love,
like he's going to give him the ball, so I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Jordan Love will give him the ball. Aaron Rodgers
Yeah.
will not give him the ball. That's my point. I
Well,
think
and I
Aaron-
don't-
I think if it's Jordan Love at the helm, he is going to need Aaron Jones,
Right.
and he's going to give the ball to Aaron Jones. I think the beef is somewhere with Rodgers and Aaron Jones, not with Aaron Jones and LaFleur. I mean,
Well,
maybe it's not, maybe it is, but like, I feel
I think
like
LaFleur's just an idiot.
Well,
I mean, if you're calling a run play, then you're calling a run play. So if Rodgers is changing a run play, then
well, you have
LaFleur
options.
is just
it's a
lying
super
to
cheap
everybody.
option.
Well,
then
here's
he's
the other
just-
thing.
Yeah, I'm tired of the PR speak then. Just if there's an issue with your quarterback, I mean, now you might as well just get it all out on the table because what do you care? I mean,
the other reason I say no that they shouldn't get rid of him is I speak for myself, but I don't think there's anybody who watched AJ Dillon play this year and thought,
yeah.
oh
he
yeah,
regressed.
he could tout the rock and be the guy. I thought he had a
He
really
ran
bad
like a
year.
fullback. He never ran
He
like a
seemed
running back.
slow,
Right.
indecisive, like he was running in quicksand. Like it just seemed really bizarre the whole year. Maybe one game he looked good, but I just was really underwhelmed by him this year. And I think Aaron Jones played beat up the last month. I mean, he was hobbling off the field left and right. He was trying to make it work.
But is he even ready for the cold weather then? Because I mean, if
No,
you're gonna
that's
be here,
the
man,
issue.
are you cold weather the running back? Are you a running back? Because I mean, he's pretty tiny, man. Like he lost a lot of weight, he built a lot of muscle, but like it just seems like he's pretty fragile. And it's like,
that's
is
where
it the cold or is it just him?
That's where it would have been nice to never get rid of Jamal Williams because I think he would thrive in those situations. You look at those teams too, like in the past.
Look at him now.
Like the James Starks, the people like that. I mean, Aaron Jones is not built for late game football and late season football. Sorry, and I think he's an incredible talent. I think he's very good. I think he can be an absolute weapon when he's used right. But I don't think come December, January, he's the right candidate to kind of lead this team. So if you want to run him for the first, 9, 10, 11, 12 weeks, that's fine. But you got to have somebody in the hopper that's available, that's going to be able to be that December, January guy. And AJ Dillon, as
supposed to be Dillon,
power as good as he is, in that regard, I don't think that he is the guy because he's never going to break one. He's never going to score a long touchdown. So I think you're going to see that's where somebody's
fucked up
you're
not
gonna
bringing
see
That
someone
Dillon
that Titans
draft.
game must be an aberration then. Like I don't know what
Yeah.
happened that game like 2 years ago. Like I don't know.
Well, he's going to have a
AJ Dillon.
critical offseason. AJ Dillon's going to have himself an offseason. I don't know what's going to have to be, but he's got to contribute more.
Might have
He's
to
got
like
to be
lose some
way
of those
more
quads,
effective.
man. Like
I was
maybe
gonna say like he might have to
Might have to
change
lose his term
game style up
Quadzilla.
a little bit and start focusing on some speed aspect or something like that. But I do see the Green Bay Packers 100% using like that 3rd, 4th round pick, potentially higher. I hope they don't, but potentially higher.
Bijan?
Grab
Not a 3rd rounder.
somebody like that,
Bijan?
like a Bijan Robinson. So
Okay.
it's even if it's like it's going to be probably 3rd or 4th round because if they do keep Aaron Jones, like it is what it is. But I don't see them, using a high enough pick for it.
So-
But you gotta even if Aaron Jones and Dillon come back next year, they still have to have the next guy, and that's not there right now.
Aaron Jones cap hit next year is
20.
like 20 million. Like so I don't know, to Sanjay's point, I don't know that you can bring him back at that cap. I
Yeah.
think you might have to ask him for you
It's
extend him and then try
100%.
to
It's 100% a restructure, or you got to let him run.
yeah.
Or you trade
And
him.
at this point,
Ain't nobody gonna take him,
I
but-
mean,
We have to trade him
I
in
would.
contract.
I would think that he's not the way that we use him or lack thereof, I should say. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, yo, piss off. Like,
We've been
give me
drafted
my
in the
20
third round
million or
every
get me
year,
out of here.
Iowa Joe.
He might. He's like, I've been playing team ball for you guys. No, I want mine.
Yeah,
You
no,
know?
I mean, if I were him, I'd be like, fuck you, man. Like,
I
you
don't
guys
think he's that
do-
kind of guy, but he might be now.
True.
Well,
True.
this is a tough
Can I just say one thing
conversation.
really quick, random?
Yeah.
Are we still talking about this, or were we moving
No,
on to a different topic?
I was moving to a different person. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, different person or different topic?
Both.
Okay. Well, I was
I mean,
just
the topic's still the Packers.
I was going to make fun of the Bears for a minute, but we can talk about that later.
This is a tough decision and a tough conversation to have, but it has to be had. And
You coming
only
out
two
of
people can see clearly here. And Bobby Touchin's got to go. I'm sorry.
Okay. This is bad.
I'm sorry, man. The time has come, and we have to start looking at finding a tight end, like an actual tight end.
Let me play. So
Yep.
Here's the thing. Extremely underwhelming this year. Extremely underwhelming. I will 100%.
He looks slower than
stand by that.
Big Dog.
Absolutely. But here's my two things. Here's my two points, if you will, to save him.
Go
On
ahead.
this. One,
go ahead.
coming off a very intense injury.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'd like to see you come off it. Two, I don't think for any means that he would even come to the Packers and be like, yeah, I'm gonna need a 5-year season. Like,
No, I know
he's
not
gonna be like,
expensive,
it's gonna be a 3-year.
But why? Because then
$10
they think
deal.
that they're it. That's it. Then they think that's it.
Okay.
Like,
So let me say this.
all right.
You do that, but only you can do that with the expectation that you have to go into the draft and get someone. Because I do believe, and this is ridiculous to piss Matt off, I do believe that they bring back Bobby. I do believe they bring back Mercedes. But if they don't go try to get some young gun out of the draft, it's a problem. Now, they got effed by Jay Sternberger 100% with that because he's a douche. But and I think that was their one attempt, and I'm afraid because of how I've known the Packer organization that they're going to be like timid to do it again. But I do think this draft class has some pretty decent tight ends. I don't see a problem with bringing back Bobby for a very small amount of money. You have Mercedes as just your Mercedes guy, but you bring back Bobby so that you don't have some first-year tight end and you're like, hey, go catch 100 balls for us. Because let's be honest, historically, tight ends take 1 to 2 years, usually 3, to actually come into their own.
What if they go get Darren Waller?
Okay, now if you're going to trade for somebody, that's a completely different ballgame.
No, so you still keep
Aaron Rodgers, Ford Waller, and second or first
and Carr.
That. But here's the thing. I agree, Fred. I would not have a problem if they were to bring back Bobby and Mercedes.
Stop.
With the caveat
Shut up,
that they bring in both of their replacements in the offseason. And if they're 2 and 3. But you cannot go into next year with Mercedes Lewis and Robert Tonyan as your 1 and 2.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. You don't even have to. No. There's no caveat needed. Just cut them both.
Okay, so this what so Sanjay, you're going to get rid of Mercedes, get rid of
no,
and bring in like some Notre Dame tight end who might like catch 4 balls.
Hey, what's wrong with Notre Dame tight end?
You're going to
whoever
be okay
that
with
guy is. Whoever that guy is. Why are we shitting on Notre Dame right now? Like, what's going on?
Because there's a Notre Dame tight end that comes out every year and we don't know about him.
All right, fine. I'll give those terms. But I'm tired of it. I really
you have to bring back Bobby because it gives
the last thing we need
familiarity with
big catch in the Lions
game. With the offense. Jordan Love knows him, and that's it.
Does Jordan Love know him?
Can I play devil's advocate?
Yeah.
How much of our disappointment in Robert Tonyan's season is based on his lack of opportunities? I feel like they never threw at him. Was it because he stinks or because they just don't throw at him?
But
I don't think Rodgers likes tight ends.
Like I was just like watching, it was like he was throwing to an offensive lineman, and it was like, let's 3 yards.
Okay,
like
what tight end do you know that's just absolutely tearing it up? Don't say Kelsey because that's not fair.
Yeah, you're right. There isn't a lot. You're right. This was the worst year for tight ends
in the NFL.
It was the worst year for tight ends. I will agree to that.
But tight ends aren't like breaking free for 80 yards. Like, come on.
But in this system, George Kittle has actually been killing it the last 4 weeks. The guy's been getting touchdowns every single week. Look at his stat line the
That's
last
because they have
4
a
weeks.
quarterback that runs.
I know they run their system, so maybe yes, I get it. Maybe in a
Sounds like
in a
your
love
story's changing
system
a little bit there, Sanjini.
Yeah,
I
but I'm
think
telling you, man, I'm watching something slower than molasses. I'm really
He's
like,
coming off a huge injury.
I get it. I
agree.
get it. But
No, okay, here's the one thing that
he
pisses
runs
me off
faster out of the tunnel when they call his
Listen,
name than he does on the field.
This is the one thing that absolutely pisses me off about Bobby touchdowns because
Go ahead.
I don't think he's super slow, but the problem is every time he catches it, he tries to cut.
Yes.
it's like, dude,
why?
you're so close.
Catch it and go. Except when he stops, like he's gonna.
That's why I said he
What are you
runs
doing?
faster out of the tunnel because that's straight.
Exactly. I think you throw him up the seam. I think he's a weapon. But the problem is you like run a slant and he catches it instead of just like
Hey,
stride. He stops.
Don't try to break
mentioned
any
something.
ankles.
Hey, someone mentioned something, and oddly enough, I kind of believed it. But Dominic Daphne was kind of a dude.
Daphne?
Am I weird in saying
I
that?
think you like Daphne because you guys were like the same shape.
What? Excuse me? What? I mean, I'll take that.
First of all,
I'm an NFL tight end. Sure,
That's a compliment.
Okay, but now let's move on from Tanyan. Okay, I will agree to your terms.
Well, hold on. I
Fred.
just want to. Can I get a share of hands of you guys are both okay with bringing back Tunyon, right?
only
only if they replace
there's a
him.
drafted tight end. Yeah.
And I think I won that conversation. I feel good.
I don't know if he did because I feel like we still think he's dog shit.
You're dog shit, but I come back every Tuesday.
All right, next guy, Josiah, because I don't know what this guy is, and I'm tired of seeing this guy wasting a roster spot for something that is, I don't know. Am I missing something here with Josiah?
No, you're not.
Is he doing something in the run game that I'm like, oh shit?
That's the
doing
thing
a lot
is-
in the run game, but I don't think.
Okay, but for
Like,
a spot,
here's the
he
thing.
for what he was drafted,
Why-
at, it's rough.
a
is-
third
okay.
rounder.
Is LaFleur's system, is the tight end just relegated to being a gadget guy, a blocker? Like you don't really do anything, maybe we'll get you out, because if that's the case, then that's got to be, what Josiah DeGuara can do. I think that's what they have him doing. But again, what is the point? Like, I want to ask LaFleur, what does he do? Like, what are you going to do? You game plan for him? Like, I thought he was supposed to be Kyle Juszczyk. He's been anything but that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what he does.
I agree with that. I do think that when you look at like the systems that are similar, right? The ones that you see around the league with the same type of coaching staffs, there is that guy that's kind of a block off and then he kind of falls into the flat. The problem is I think, and again, maybe this is me making a shitty excuse, but I think it comes down to, again, an Aaron Rodgers, like refusal to throw into the flat, refusal to throw down checkdowns, refusal to just utilize those guys. Like, we never see him do that. We only see him either chuck bombs or like he's looking for that stupid ball. And it's not me saying that I think Josiah is a superstar by any means in that regard. I just think that we've seen him go away from those easy passes where I could see like Jordan Love be like, hey, that's a check down. It's an easy out. That's where those guys I do think could be really special in this offense. And you're just Aaron Rodgers has been around so long. He's like, I don't do check downs anymore. I'm looking for ball.
That's
like,
all he did this year. That's all he did this year. I
Should've
felt
not
like he
even
was
Jared
going
Goff.
downfield. No, I'm saying,
Barely.
how many times did he throw it to AJ Dillon or Aaron Jones? It's like a little quick shot to the
Couldn't
flat.
even do
you know?
that.
Well, I know that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he couldn't do it, but he started to throw more.
But I think Aaron Rodgers, and I know this is maybe it's just stupid, but I really do believe that he has his core guys that he likes, and he's got some guys that he just doesn't really like or trust, and he just doesn't throw to them.
That's why you got to go, dude. We can't survive
Absolutely.
that way. We can't survive doing that.
You watch Jordan Love. If Jordan Love comes out, we're gonna see like Jordan Love threw to top 9 players tonight. Jordan Love
what
threw
happened to that? Rodgers used to throw to
That's
like
how Rodgers
13
used to-
different guys.
exactly.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Now it's like
it was always
now
13
Jordan
different
Love
guys.
Yeah, now it's like Aaron Rodgers throws to Randall Cobb and Lazard because they're his buddies. It's like, well, cool.
Devontae got like 17 targets, and then the rest of the team was like 3. Like,
And
wow,
the thing
why?
is,
We get
and
to
when
this point.
and when that was going on, remember, we sat on this show and said that's not healthy, but all the internet talking heads like, there's nothing wrong with throwing 20 times to Devontae Adams. Well, yeah, it is, because when he's not in the team, your quarterback has no idea what to do without him.
It was great while it lasted, but yeah, once the shit hits the fan,
Yeah, once
we're
it hits the
screwed.
fan, you know it. Another really tough topic to talk about, but I think this one may be a little bit easier than touchdowns because, you know, Fred has such a weird loyalty to him. But
Weird.
Mason Crosby,
Weird.
is it time?
No.
No.
Why?
What? I'm the only one? I'm sorry,
Dude.
did you not see that missed field goal? I mean,
The week before, he hit 56 yard in the same fashion.
it had to tip off the front of the
You know what I love?
Don't care.
crossbar
You
to
know what I
get
think
in.
is so fantastic?
Crossbar.
Okay.
Is that you're so ready to just get rid of all the tight ends, get rid of the kicker, get rid of this, and then you think we're just like, what, just gonna magically stumble?
No,
on
I'm not saying
another
it's an easy
18-year
thing.
vet?
Did I not start
kicker?
this conversation by saying not an easy decision? But this guy's
It's
going to
not.
be paid so much money, and I don't think like
I think until the Packers, and I think that they've been doing this last couple years. We've obviously talked about on the show before. They are bringing in guys constantly until you find that guy.
why are you guys so no? Yeah, okay. First off, it's hard to say that about a kicker. That is not fair.
Rodrigo
Unless he-
Blankenship? Like,
no,
come on.
no. Time out. At least with Jordan Love, you get to see him in preseason. Like, I mean, you've seen guys come into the league on this team that have kicked well for our team. They keep signing that Aziz guy, the guy that we just signed like 2 weeks ago. Then he got hurt.
Ahmed, yeah.
Ahmed, he actually played well. I'm not saying it's easy, but if you can just say cut Rodgers, let's go to Love, like that's
Okay.
the same thing. No.
But Sanjay,
No.
Sanjay.
Time out. No, hear me out. The whole point being is like, hey, look, sometimes you have to go with something like a little bit different because maybe they've run its course. And I don't know. You
I
can't
agree
even
with that.
he can't even kick
But
it
if
to
you
the
don't-
end zone.
But if you don't have
He's getting
somebody
yards
that, if
just
you don't
like
have
that.
somebody that you're confident in to make field goals, I'm not willing to just be like, hey, listen, you're really old. We're probably going to get
It's
rid of
not
you, but we
because
have
of that, but
nothing
he's
for
also going to
Taylor.
be expensive. Like,
Okay,
I'm
let
not
me-
like
Hold
I'm
on.
trying to save money.
Other
Hey,
than
Matthew.
a 53-yard field goal that hit the crossbar,
56.
what other problems did you have with him this
Yep,
year?
thank you.
Okay, is he banging the ball out of the back of the end zone? No, but we weren't getting kick returns house on us all year long either. To me, it's like kicking in Lambeau Field's difficult. Outdoors in the cold,
Yeah, I get
swirling
that, but
winds
then
all
other
over the.
kickers are
Hold
doing
on,
it
and if
too.
you, but who? If until he can't, Lily
Yeah,
can't do it,
That's it.
and Lily can't do it, then he's got to be the guy to do it.
The
Sanjay,
guy
you
in the
keep-
Lions
you
just
keep
did it. The
Sanjay,
guy in the
you keep
Lions
bringing-
just kicked in
you
Lambeau.
keep bringing
Everybody
up
kicks
Jordan
in
Love in
Lambeau
here.
now. What are you
keep bringing up
saying?
Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers, but there is no Jordan Love to Mason Crosby. There's
There
nobody
is.
there.
His name's Ahmed.
Oh, of course it is. You would love a guy named Ahmed.
Okay. Wow. Let's not go down that route.
I like. I'm.
What, you don't like the white kicker? He's not
the-
good enough for you anymore.
The only problem I have with it is that they have to sometimes carry an extra kicker if they're going to blast one out of the back of the end zone. I just think
True.
Crosby's too valuable in his knowledge of kicking.
I
He's going to play 9
understand
games
that.
in Lambeau Field, but until he can't hit 45-yarders and he's the
You're
wide left
acting like
and right.
no one. Like, what do you want him to do? Kick till he's 50? When
The
is
point,
when is-
look at the
when are
Bears.
you okay with it?
They've never replaced Robbie Gold. He had
Yeah.
one bad year. They kicked him to the
Okay,
curb,
but
and they're
then
still
when's
trying
a
to
good
figure it out.
time? We had the same
When he-
conversation about with Rodgers with
When he's
with
missing him,
Fred.
he didn't miss a lot this year.
No, I know
I'm
that,
just
but
not
like
willing-
eventually you have to figure out like, okay, he hasn't had to kick like a really. How many times has
Agreed.
he had to kick a game-winning like field goal more than 40 yards?
Well,
When?
not in his
He's not
career,
willing
maybe
to
not
get
this
rid of
year.
him until
Yeah.
I know that we for sure have somebody that they're confident in. Now, if this Ahmed guy, Ahmad, is
Oh,
good,
Can we
then-
stop with the racism, please?
I don't know what I'm talking about. If he's good and like he's legit and they know it, then absolutely let Crosby go. But to just let Crosby go and be like, we'll figure it out.
I wasn't saying that we wouldn't have a
The grass
replacement.
isn't always
Okay?
greener.
Seems like you're ready to get rid of the tight ends. You're ready to get rid of fucking Crosby.
Hey, we're in rebuild,
half
or
our
not
defense,
rebuild,
only
but
figure
we
it
are
out.
going. We've got to get rid of these old people, right? Like, let's just get rid of them. Like, let's go. Let's start looking at the future.
All
now
new
you got-
players.
Okay.
Cut them all.
Future.
Start
Cut
over
'em
like an
all, get rid
expansion
of 'em.
team.
If they have one gray hair, get rid of them.
Well, okay, let's go bring back Clay Matthews.
Here's the thing.
We're gonna have
Here's the
everybody
thing.
staying around.
If you want to force Rodgers' hand, get rid of Mason, trade Dave, let Mercedes retire, and then Aaron Rodgers will go himself.
100%.
He basically said the same
100%.
thing.
So, are we all going to be on cut Cobb now? Are we good?
Cobb, add him to the list. Yeah, exactly.
No, are we good with it? Are we good with letting Cobb go?
Yes.
Let
I don't have a
Samari
problem
Toure
going.
get snapped.
Yeah, I have no problem with Cobb going.
Like,
All
if
right,
we bring back Cobb just to like tickle Rodgers' dinger, I'm
Pickle.
Tickle the pickle.
Why he's here in the first place? It's the only reason he's here is to tickle the
Yeah,
pickle.
well,
I mean, he played
guys
really well.
won't cut
though.
anybody. So.
He did.
couple
He's
good
been
games.
he's
I'll
been good.
give
I have
him
no problem.
credit.
You guys officially have just like kept the entire roster as is because you won't cut anybody.
Run it back,
when you
baby.
just said, when you just said, stop running it back.
2023 is our year. 2023 is our year.
If anything, Sanjay comes out again as the winner because I'm the most realistic person on
There
the
you
show.
go. Cut everybody.
I don't know where you're getting this, like, because I clearly am the only one that has a clear vision of how this team can succeed.
Smart.
GM Sanjay, he's in the booth.
Maybe I need to take this jersey off because clearly this,
Put a suit and tie on, Goody.
Right. All right. Any last thought? I mean, okay, so obviously the season is over. And I'll let everybody kind of chime in here.
I have a last thought. So I'm really excited that the Bears have the #1 pick. I think it's hilarious. I wanted to talk about a couple things that I talked about with my buddies. Shout out to Jordan and Eric for this conversation we had today because I thought it was hilarious. I was asking them, like, what do they do with it? I think it's so ironic that they have the first pick and they have their, they think they have their big guy in Justin Fields because he can run the ball. But here's what's even more funnier about it. So they have the #1 pick. I'm not sure what they do with it. I do think it obviously makes sense to trade out. They'll probably get some draft picks. That's cool. But the great thing is they have just this boatload of salary cap space, right? They have the opportunity to go out and sign all these weapons, these receivers, these running back, all sorts of awesome positions, right? Like you should probably use your draft picks on like interior, like D-line, offensive line, and then go sign a bunch of playmakers. Let me tell you a little something that's hilarious. Guess who the top 2 wide receivers are in the free agent class coming up this year?
Top 2 what?
Top 2. So like the Bears, right? They don't really have many receivers. You would expect that the Bears are going to probably go out and try to get some really good receivers for Justin Fields. Guess who the top 2 receivers are for the free agent class this year?
Jarvis Landry and Michael Thomas or something.
Nope. Jacoby Myers and Alan Lazard. Good luck.
Good job. Sign them both. Have fun.
Yeah,
that's
those 2 and Equanimous.
Could you imagine if the pack, like we had 100 million and we're like spending spree, baby, and it was like Jacoby Myers and Alan Lazard? Are you effing serious? Like that's to me the most Bears thing ever. Like think about last year, the year before, where like you had some receivers that were just absolute ballers. Like Tyreek Hill was available for a trade, of course, but like still available. You have some just absolute barn burners. And yet their best options are Jacoby Myers and Alan Lazard.
I think they should draft Bryce Young, and Justin Fields isn't the guy. Unless you want to run.
I'll take Justin Fields.
Take him, man. It's fine.
You don't like him?
No, I don't. I think he's fine, but I don't think NFL teams are winning Super Bowls with a run first QB. It's never going to happen.
But
never.
wait,
I don't think that. But I don't think that the Bears are a fair opportunity.
Yeah.
You put him on a team that actually has like talent.
Right.
I think there's a different story there. This is the absolute MO of the Bears and the Browns for the last 50, 60 years. Is you have guys that go there that are good quarterbacks that die in the system. Like you think that
Ohio State quarterback.
You think that too, I'll give you that 100%. But you think that Bryce Young's going to go there and just magically turn around the Bears? Because guess what? No. They've been thinking that about quarterbacks for about 40 years. And
we're just going to laugh at them.
Because they don't have a good offensive line. They don't have a good defensive line. Their defense is an absolute travesty from what they could be, and they don't have anything.
And they traded for Chase Claypool, who stunk, and they basically gave him a first-round pick for him. So,
and you got rid of Roquan Smith, who literally made the Ravens exactly what they are.
Yeah,
that's a power.
Got $100 million.
I can't believe we just talked about the
There's
Bears.
too much. What they need to
do,
they need to build from the inside out. And the Bears refuse to do so. The Bears continue to draft quarterbacks and say, oh, he'll be our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and he'll figure it out. Guess what? That doesn't work.
Nope. Doesn't work.
Sorry, that was my rant. I love you.
Well, it's been a fun season. Not really, but
Has
it's
it?
been it's been a fun season with you guys. Obviously,
There you go.
everybody that comes out every week for our show. Obviously, I have the time of my life when I'm with you two, so it's
Shout out
always a
IHL.
pleasure. There's a lot of discussions that we have to have, obviously, on our end as far as, for next season, obviously for the off season. So as far as our future shows, we'll keep you guys posted, obviously, through social medias and see when we will be back on the air. But as always, we appreciate every time you guys come out, and I hope you guys still take everything that has happened this year and know that, okay, yes, things sucked, but you are still a Packer fan always and forever. And there's always, a light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe it's Jordan Love, who knows? But we'll be back next season as far as a team, and we'll know what this team is come 2023 training camp, I guess. But
We're still a lot better than a lot of other teams.
yes, that's true. We are still a lot better than a lot of other teams. You're right. And we're still going to be better than the Browns because they're pieces of crap. So, if you guys have nothing else to add, we appreciate everything you guys do. I'm Sanjay. That's Fred. That's Matt. And we'll see you next time. Go.
Go, Pack.
Pack.
Go.
Go.